And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brews and Bruins podcast. I think it's episode 83 of season 3. Who knows? If not, then well, you're still in the right place. I am Drew Johnson. We're going to just have a revolving door here of people coming in and out. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. Let's go with Oliver first. Oliver, how you doing?
Long time, I guess third time technically. I'm Oliver Mantown. You may know me from Pride Diehards and sassily and consistently bullying Cam on Twitter. I would also like to add I have not been invited back since I have bullied Cam. Very mad at me. But other than that, that's more or less what you need to know about me.
Awesome. Sean.
Yeah, Sean Rajat. I know my last name's been pronounced a million different ways, but second time being on the pod, so I'm excited.
Well, here we are. Are you guys drinking anything tonight, or?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I guess we gotta.
Oh, wow.
That was the can scraping against the mic. Is what that was.
Yeah, Oliver, you want to start?
Once again, I'm bringing back the Diskin 615 because I have way too much of this in my fridge from earlier this month, and I've been on the road for the last week, so this is what I have. Way too much of. As always, perfect drinkability and goes down like water. So
is that 37 then? Out of 37?
Absolutely at 37.
Why isn't it going?
That's fantastic. I love that. I am drinking from Industrial Arts a Wrench. It's a hazy IPA, 7.1%. It's from New York. And I would say drinkability, it's a good 30. We'll go like a Tim Thomas on that. Tasteability, also up there. I would say high 20s, maybe like a 27. Rest in peace, John Moore. So we'll go with that.
Rob, welcome.
Good to be back.
You just joined at the right time. We're right on beer, so introduce yourself, and if you're having a drink, feel free.
Perfect. My name is Rob Schlosser. I didn't have any beer in the fridge, so I'm drinking a rum and Coke. I'll pretend like I haven't been drinking it for the past 5 minutes, as is always the case. But
awesome.
Well, for tasteability, it tastes like Coca-Cola, which is kind of what you would expect. So I'll give that like a low 23. Drinkability, I could drink that like all day pretty much. So I'll just give it a 30. Does not pass the Drew test like most Coca-Cola, but that is what it is.
It just keeps happening perfectly. Now we got Pat Laverty. Pat, time to introduce yourself and what you're drinking. Right on time.
Oh, all right. Yeah, it's good to be here, and I am drinking something that probably even passes the Drew test. I get a Mike's lemonade here, which you can taste it pretty well. Probably give it like a 25 for taste. But you can hammer these things all day, can't you? So I think there's no question that gets a 37. Love it.
Every time. Clearly Chris and Cam aren't here. It's me on my own, and I panicked and decided to just shoot a link out into the void. And so we'll just have people coming in and out as they please, I suppose. I'm surprised we've gotten so many so far, but it's great to see. So first thing I got here on the agenda is the Pavel Zacha trade. I think that was the biggest acquisition, the free agency I think we'll get to, but there wasn't too much going on there. I think they're after me. I don't know if you heard those sirens.
I said you can't do a show alone.
But maybe we could just go around the ring here of starting with the top left, or I suppose Oliver, work your way down, and then I can just copy and paste your opinions. So what's your take on the Zacha trade, 1-for-1 for Eric Halla?
I mean, Don Sweeney really needs to get over his obsession with the 2015 draft class. I'm sorry it didn't go well for you, bud, but that doesn't mean pick everyone up from it now that you can. So I like it and I don't. I think it's a good move. I think that you get a little bit younger, which is a huge plus. I think if Krejci doesn't come back, it's something that you can plop him in the second line and hopefully have better production than Holla last year. But then if you want to keep him on the third line, should Krejci come back, or put him up on a wing and try to see if you can do that on the second line, wait for Martian to come back in January. You might be able to find some production with him. I mean, he's a 30-point scorer, it's probably going to be something like another Craig Smith where he'll get good for a minute, be good, and won't like him, and he'll go cold. I'm just hoping we can land another Jake DeBrusk where everyone keeps saying he's streaky, and I don't like streaky.
Awesome. Next up, well, anyone can go, or we can go in order. I don't care. This is anybody's game.
What would
Someone's
be
gonna have to hijack at some point.
Would Rob be next?
Sure.
Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, sure. I like the move for the possibility of keeping someone in the system for a while. I think we would have all expected if Eric Holla stayed, he would have left at the end of this year and, freed up a little cap space. So somebody that we can keep in the fold for a little bit. I feel like his profile fits well when everyone's hopefully healthy, if we are getting Krejci and Bergeron, where if he fits into that third line with Coyle and Smith, I think he fits really well with them. And looking forward, if he, excels in our system and has that breakout that Devils fans were hoping for, the entire time he was there, he could potentially be a young center that we've brought into the fold. And whether that comes to be, I guess we'll find out.
Alrighty. Pat or Sean, I don't know if we're going in a circle or we're going reading a paragraph here. So
I think we're going in a circle, so it's Sean's turn.
All right.
Ready. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a good pickup. I think to start off the year, if you're assuming Bergeron and Krejci are back, Hall's going to move up to that first line in Marchand's absence. So you're going to get Krejci, Zacha, hopefully Pasternak line, which would be pretty cool to see. And I think, you're going to get a 15 to 20 goal scorer here. I don't know how much he's going to benefit from going from a team like the Devils to the Bruins, but I think he's a perfect Bruins mold. Big guy who has scoring potential, and I think he'll plug in pretty well to this team. So I'm excited to see what they'll do with him. And as mentioned, he can play center, he can play wing, so it's a good pickup in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you can't really complain too much about the pickup. The major problem might be the salary. His qualifying offer of $3 million is still higher than Holla's $2.3 million that he was going to get. And the Bruins were already in a mess. But I have a major problem with what Oliver said, where he said that the Bruins can't go get every guy that was drafted in 2015. I want Connor McDavid on the Bruins. He was
Shit, you got me there.
I think on the Zacha trade, I think it's a situation where it's little risk but great reward potentially. If he can tap into some other level of his game and really excel like that first round pick he is, not overall. Oh, what? He was 6th overall, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And I think also he's trained in Boston for a number of years. On NHL.com, there's that story, and he was friends with Zaboral growing up, got to know Charlie Coyle and McAvoy by having a place in Boston over the summers. His fiance is from Needham, so hell yeah, sticking around, hopefully. And so I think that's a great transition for a player. I think especially coming into the Boston market, sometimes that can be tough for some players depending on their personality. Are they ready to step into that kind of spotlight? And this fan base can be brutal at times. So, and into this whole situation with management. But I think that really will help in that transition into Boston, into a new organization.
in the fan base might already be a little bit brutal. One of the things that I think I saw Devils fans talking about him, and I don't know if others saw this as well, that he's a pretty good skilled player in the middle of the ice. You start getting near the boards and the corners, now we have a little bit more of an issue with him, which I don't know if that's true, but if it is true, if he doesn't really like to go into corners and take hits, I think Bruins fans are going to have some problems with that.
So what you're saying is he would have fit perfectly in Bruce Cassidy's system, but now that we're away from that, we're just screw all.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully the
that's
Montgomery system is an increase in offense.
And we can only hope.
Just judging by his heat map for his shots, they're all in the middle of the ice. So, but I don't know. I think the Bruins need more of that. So I think this is a good pickup. And if he could drive from the middle of the ice in between the dots, that's perfect for the Bruins.
Yeah,
If
he's playing with Coyle, where Coyle's the guy bringing the puck in and doing his thing where he runs all around in the offensive zone and then finally finds somebody open, and there's Zacha wide open in front of the net. Great. Maybe we do get the 25, 30 goals out of him, which from a third liner would be insane.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I was going to say, where do you think he slots in on that third line? Because I feel like if what's happening at that second line center spot, not that I think Zacha's really cut out for it right now, but that was Hala. So, but that kind of leads me into my next thing here with David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron. Bergeron obviously hasn't made a decision yet. Krejci, no idea where that's at. Just rumors thus far. Do we want to go around the circle the opposite way, starting with Pat, then Sean, then Rob, then Oliver?
So this thing seems like it's probably got to be the done deal. Like Chris and Lancey were talking about on a recent episode. It's probably one of those things where they're already signed, sealed, delivered, all that kind of stuff, and they're just waiting on some other parts. Because once you go over the cap and then you start trying to deal off players, now the other teams are really got you over barrel. They probably know it anyway, but just the fact that the Bergeron Krejci contracts aren't signed yet and the Bruins aren't over the cap yet, it kind of changes the negotiating strength a little bit, might be how it is. So I'm in the camp that I fully expect both of them either to already be signed or are going to be announced soon as signed.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I know there was the report, the French report that came out that everyone hit translate on Twitter and freaked out about, saying that Bergeron hadn't made a decision yet. I think what it really comes down to is they're figuring out with the kind of the contracts that they're getting, it's going to be a lot of bonuses, a lot of performance bonuses. I don't think it's going to be a huge cap hit because, I mean, you look at the space that they have, and they still have to sign Zacha with, I think it's like $4.7 million that they have left. So there's not a ton left over for Bergeron and Krejci. I think they're trying to figure out the performance kind of bonuses that they're going to get. I don't know necessarily that's a AAV thing, but I feel like the fact that they're talking to them and all the reports coming out that they've had good conversations, it's going a good direction, but they might have to move some money. So we'll see.
Yeah, and they're definitely keeping the door open to move out that money, as everyone said. Just everything surrounding Zacha coming in and getting a call from Bergeron immediately. Those kinds of things give me a lot of hope. But I'll be anxious until we have the announcement. And I will say, if they're not announcing them together, I don't know. Like that just seems like the obvious way to do it. And the fact that, Krejci didn't tell Don Sweeney to pound sand the second that he reached out to him, I think is a, really encouraging sign. Because a lot of people have said it, the trajectory of this season is vastly different, whether we have none, both, or, one in the fold. So.
I mean, every Boston sports team is a watch what they do, not what they say type of team. And so think of any other team. They're not tweeting about people that they want to bring back. They're not being put you don't bring up the name if you don't plan on bringing them back, or if there's not something to bring them back. Because if they go to a different team or retire, they're going to be kind of pissed that you've been tweeting about them and talking about them about the press from your social media standpoint. So there's that there's so much being said and allowed to be said that leads me to believe if it's not inked, it's getting close to being inked. That's for sure. Even if they're on 1-year deals and probably very, very, very incentive based, as was previously said. But if you keep watching what they're doing, it's the stuff that they're bringing up. It's the fact that they let something like Bergeron giving a phone call kind of get out there, drift in the wind. It's a lot that says something. The talk of reuniting Krejci and Pasta and putting them on the same line, even possibly after their success at Worlds, is, I think, thrilling, but also something that you would have shut down if it wasn't even close to being true. So again, if it's not there, then I'd be very surprised. I don't think that that's something that Bergeron or Krejci is in their character to do, to lead people on just to be like, oh, nope, sorry, we actually are retiring and going back to the Czech Republic. I think the question still remains to be Cap. And I don't know if this is on the docket or not, but with Kincaid being signed, it's possible that Ullmark might be seeing his way out the door, and they're going to fish that around before they announce the Krejci Bergeron thing, and they might announce both on the same day and give you some good news with kind of a gut punch. So something to watch.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point in terms of using Ullmark to clear up Cap. I thought of the Kincaid signing. I guess we'll get to that, but Bergeron, yes, please. I think he's basically locked in. I think they're talking about money and stuff, but he's still going to be a part of this organization in some way, and I'm pretty sure he'll be center. If not, Montgomery's on his way out, and Bergeron head coach. I think. I mean, I don't know how realistic Krejci is in coming back. Obviously, I think that hinges on Bergeron. I don't see any way of there just being, all right, Krejci's back for a season now and Bergeron's gone. So I think they'd be doing it together. So that would be awesome. Get one last run in and see what happens. That's what takes this team from you're in a win now situation for one more year and you do need to kind of sell out, or you're really kind of leaning more towards that rebuild and not being super competitive. So we'll see what happens, but please, St. Patrice and upon this rock.
What's going to be really interesting is I think we all believe that those contracts are going to be heavily incentive filled, and the Bruins are still going to be right up against the cap, which means all those incentive millions are going to go in next year's cap. So let's say they carry over $5 to $7 million to next year's cap. What does that do to next year's team when you're starting off right off the bat with $5 to $7 million not even available because they spent it this year?
You're dumping Taylor Hall midway through the season.
Which I'm sure would make Pasternak pretty happy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Even though some people won't be happy about Riley getting moved, but you got to think he goes. And I'm surprised they didn't buy out Foligno, but that's another almost $4 million off the books. But I feel they're going to have room eventually. It depends on the moves between now and I would even say like the trade deadline this coming year to get some money off the books to be able to do anything. Especially if Bergeron and Krejci are back, like you got to win now. So what are you going to do with that roster with the money you have available?
Absolutely. Well, you know what time it is. The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat and feel the sweat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000. And if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. please talk about an upcoming game of your choice, matchup/pairings that interest you, who you'll be keeping an eye on, who most excites you. So, fellas, what teams you got your eye on this summer, huh? Where are
Did
you
you
placing your
just read like a freaking teleprompter?
Yeah.
I'm surprised it doesn't say "Don't read this line, Drew."
Oh, it's in red and parentheses. I did it last time too. The last
This
time
is
I
why we
really
need the
didn't
automated
realize.
voice system again. I missed the robot.
As I said last time, how about those Red Sox? Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right. That was limped through that, but that's okay. So the next thing I got is just free agency in general. Bruins obviously making big splashes left and right. TJ Greer, as I like to call him, was one. Kincaid, we already mentioned, was another. I think maybe just to start, what are your overall thoughts just on, is this kind of what you expected from the Bruins, these little signings here and there with the cap situation, and do you think they filled any sort of needs with that?
I mean, it's Don Sweeney. I mean, it's what it is. It's everything and anything that we could have expected. I saw that list go out, and it was probably the last 5 years of Bruins hockey I've ever, felt like. It's no one that's going to make a major splash, but it's guys that are going to build this team up. And, some years that works. Look at 2019. You build that bottom six, you go far in the playoffs. But you've got perennial AHLers, and it helps against the cap, sure, but there wasn't even an attempt at a splash. I mean, was a phone call made to Johnny Gaudreau to be like, hey, play 1 year cheap, and then once we get some people off the books, we can try and raise that for you? I don't know. It seems like an effort wasn't even made, and we're just treading water once again.
I feel like it was relatively expected. It's a little bit of a boring answer, but just given the cap situation, unless we were signing one of the, it did feel like this year there were a lot of players that were available for, 1 year, $850,000, but they all seemed to go to, the Leafs, or a lot of them seem to go to the Leafs. But so barring one of those that seemed to be one of those diamonds in the rough, I was mostly just expecting AHL depth, unless it was a day of Donnie wheeling and dealing. And I was hoping for that, but we didn't exactly get that.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, with the cap space they have, it's really expected that they're going to go with depth moves here. And I don't know. I feel like people get weirdly mad on Twitter about depth moves being made, like, oh, this guy sucks, he's just in the AHL. And it's like, well, yeah, like that's exactly what they're signing him for.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the fact that they are still figuring out Krejci and Bergeron, they can't even figure out those contracts right now. I don't expect Donnie Boy to do anything relevant and go out and try to get a big fish there. The only ones I was really interested, Dylan Strome, I guess, was the one that I was interested going into free agency, just because young center with a lot of potential. But obviously with that cap hit, I don't know, it would have been interesting. And who knows, like if they're expecting to sign Krejci and Bergeron, you have Coyle at 3C. It's not really a lot of space for him there. But other than that, on the free agency list, everyone's going to get paid way too much for them to really go in and try to make a splash, I felt like.
But did you also look at Trocheck? Because he signed, I think, for 7 years, 5.5. Is that a number that the Bruins could have made work? The 7's a little bit long, but sometimes you have to do that to get the guy. And that's all we keep hearing, is that the Bruins don't have a top 2 center for the next generation when Krejci and Bergeron are gone. Could Trocheck have actually filled that gap for just $5.5 million a year. And I don't know how you make it work, but was there a way that was the guy that they could have made the splash with?
That's so manageable. It's not even funny. And again, you have a year like this where even if you have Krejci and Bergeron come back, you can propose the offer that, hey, this year you're making a little less, and then next year you'll make 6, or next year you'll make 7, but we'll squeeze you under the cap this year, and then you're our guy for the coming future. And that's something that could have been done, and it feels like nothing was. I think Trocheck would have been a right fit to try to get into this team, and yeah, he might be a number 2 center, so you don't fix the Bergeron situation when he's gone immediately, but you absolutely could have given him kind of a crappier first year with the promise of a better contract after that, and nothing was done.
Yeah, I think it's definitely expected, like you guys all said with the cap situation, and that's kind of what you do. I don't know. It was kind of like the Zacha trade caught me by surprise because that's what I was expecting out of the Bruins. I was like, oh my god, they made a trade. Don Sweeney's gonna just be on fire today, and trades left and right, just complete rebuild in one day. No, but I was like, oh okay. So like I'm satisfied. Like the Zacha trades, that little like aftertaste that's good, and the free agency is just like a little bitter. I don't know, but yeah. Is there any particular free agent or two that y'all are more excited about than others? I don't know. I didn't look too deeply into them. Kincaid and Carrick were the names that I knew.
AJ Greer, level 69 Dungeon Master in Dungeons and Dragons, and Boston University legend.
Don't forget Albany Devils legend, Keith Kincaid. Cam's not on, but 518 repping that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's what you expect. And going back to the Trocheck thing, I mean, I don't know. 7 years just seems like so much for Trocheck. Like, I don't know if I want to commit to that if I'm the Bruins. That is so much. And like the AAV is not bad, but I don't know. 7 years for that guy. Don't know.
Kincaid's not going to want to sit in Providence, though. Like, that's my thing. Is I get it if Ullmark or Swayman gets hurt, you have a serviceable backup that's, not Kyle Kaiser. Not that I don't like Kaiser, but that's got a little more NHL experience that you're not just throwing him to the fire, So I guess it works, but he's going from New York City to Providence, Rhode Island, and that's not an enticing offer. I'm from Providence. I get the crap on Rhode Island. I'm from it.
At the very least, we do have both Swayman and Ullmark coming off of the biggest workloads of their careers thus far. I mean, they're both relatively young guys. I'd expect them to come off of it pretty good, but I feel a lot better, somebody that I've, seen us play against plenty of times in Keith Kincaid versus, a third goalie of Kaiser or Grosnick. That gives me at least a little bit more peace of mind, knowing that they absolutely could spend some time either injured or underperforming this year just based off of last year's workload.
Although, gotta ask, what do you guys think likelihood of Bruins sneak in again? Because, Ottawa's not getting any worse. Bruins sneak in again as one of the last seeds in. They're playing the Rangers. Igor gets hurt. Yaro Halak comes out, drops 4 clean shutouts.
Yeah, when I saw Halak signed for a second, like I was so detached from Bruins hockey since they were out. Really, like obviously I pay attention a little bit and stuff, but after the Stanley Cup final, I was just so detached. I was like, oh my god, it's free agent frenzy tomorrow. Oh my god. When I saw Halak signed, I was like, wait, isn't that our backup? Isn't that like the tandem with Swayman? What about the... And I was like, wait, oh yeah, Ullmark's there. That's right. He's the other guy. All right. Good.
Yeah, I mean, people forgot about Halak when he went to Vancouver and then was just like stuck behind Demko. He's past his prime. He's just older dude, love him, but I don't see him doing much in New York. He's just kind of there to help Shesterkin not play like 80 games.
And honestly, that's all you really need with Igor and net.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was his prime 2019, 2020 at 39 years old. Like,
let's see. Well, that's all I have planned. Is there anything else?
Yeah, when you
Or Kat,
can we also
go ahead.
Yeah, can we do some Schadenfreude a little bit? Because while talking about goalies, what the hell are the Leafs doing in net by going and getting Matt Murray? Are you kidding?
Great. I love it.
No, they've got to
Absolutely.
figure it out. They've got to figure it out. Leafs, always a great team, terrible in the playoffs. Matt Murray, terrible in the regular season, great in the playoffs. You put the two together, they're solid. Leafs for a cup, baby.
Either that or they're going to be terrible all the way around.
First round exit.
Yeah, I loved Ottawa's goalie moves more than Toronto's, and that's saying something because it's Ottawa. And I don't know. I mean, they're hoping that Matt Murray can really turn it around, but he's not been good in quite a long while. So I don't know what they were thinking with that one. I feel like Leafs fans are hyped up for Samsonov, but I mean, he showed you on the Capitals what he could do, even just giving that pizza that Craig Smith to Tucker for the OT winner a couple of years ago. So I don't know what they're thinking.
No one knows what they're thinking. It's knocked out Maple Leafs. At this point, they're trying way too hard, and it's comical to see them lose in the first round. But we're getting to the point where it's getting sad. I feel like
it really was sad this year.
It kind of crossed sad. Like Tampa was a good team, obviously made it to the Cup final, but you're sitting here and you're going another Game 7. Like Austin Matthews must really love golf or something because.
You think Matthews is gonna stay there when his contract runs out, or does he get out of there? If they don't win,
I could see him getting out.
Yeah.
Coyotes bound.
No, he's going to Columbus, Ohio. Haven't you?
Yeah, just like all the big stars. Yeah.
It's a
Fuck,
great
I don't get that
town.
either. Can someone explain to me the Gaudreau thing? Because I really don't.
I think
understand
he just wanted it like nice and quiet. Like just want to live in Ohio. Like, if you wanted,
You know,
like, if
the,
you're going
the loud
into like
city of Calgary.
if you're like going into witness protection and shit, I'm sure they send you to Ohio half the time. It's just what it seems like. Ohio is just full of people in witness protection, all living false lives, and that's what Gaudreau wants to do. Well, honestly, I think you could get some like other than Nash, like who is really like who do you think of when you think Columbus? I guess. What's his fucking face?
Panarin.
Well, no, Panarin. That's also one. Was it Bobrovsky? Right, he was the guy that was there.
Steve
but,
Mason.
Columbus, city where because
Boone
it's right
Jenner.
by Ohio State, sells out that place every day of the week. And then I remember when the Bruins played them in 2019, they were talking about it on the broadcast about how Ohio State was out. So in the second round of the playoffs, there were no fans in the freaking arena because the Ohio State kids weren't going to the game.
Yeah, that's when they had that stacked team with Panarin and Bobrovsky and
Yeah.
Dzingel randomly put up like a ton of points that year. That was a good team for like 1 year. And Duchesne, like what was that?
Nashville Predators,
I was nervous in that
star Matt
series, to be
Duchene.
honest.
Yes. And then
I think
everyone
they
left.
went up
Another
2-1, and yeah.
They're a very sad franchise now. I mean, besides Gaudreau and I guess Line A. I was like, who's their center? I didn't even know their center. Like, was like, why is
Liney's not even back. Austin Matthews is the center. We just said Austin Matthews is going to Columbus.
Well, it's going to be Sean Corrali in the interim. We all know that.
Is Wenberg the number
Goudreau,
one guy?
Corrali, Line A.
Is he?
I think it's Cole Sillinger. They're like young kid that they got out there. I think that's their like number one.
Wenberg is also on the Kraken now. I just realized. So. That's
Yeah, I
right.
think it's either Sillinger or Roslovic.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he's there. That's quite a team. That's quite a team of misfits. They've been drafting well, but oh my god, I couldn't name half that roster. Same with Seattle.
One day they're going to make a cup run, and we're going to all be surprised. And we're going to just suddenly remember that they drafted well and signed Johnny Gaudreau. This is going to be like 3-4 years. They're going to come out like Florida Panthers this year level good, Colorado Avalanche level good, and we're going to be so confused on why. Despite the fact that they've been undermining us this entire time.
Well, of course, they got Gaudreau to sign for less money. They were able to sell him on a vision of, being competitive, and none of us saw it, but there's a reason, I guess, that we're not working in the NHL.
I mean, honest question though, what's worse, Columbus, Ohio, or New Jersey?
Oh, New Jersey.
Definitely
Yeah,
Jersey.
definitely New
Jersey is a state.
Jersey.
Literally.
So there's the easy decision.
Columbus is like the armpit of America. So just guess what New Jersey is.
I mean, you drive into Jersey and you could just smell. It has a smell to it.
Right when you cross the border.
Yep.
I pissed off a guy one time that I was working with because he was like, "Oh, he's from New Jersey. He's from the smelly part." And I was like, "Every part of Jersey is the smelly part of Jersey."
Exactly. So I don't know what he's thinking, but he also didn't want to go to the Flyers, which I don't blame them because they are crashing and burning and then crashing again.
When
But
you
they
have the
agree.
chance to sign both Rasmus Ristolainen and Tony DeAngelo for a combined $10 million and miss out on Johnny Gaudreau, you do that every time. You do that every single time, especially when you struggle on defense.
Great team. Poor Carter Hart. That's like the one guy I feel bad for.
Yeah.
The poor kid's potential is getting absolutely wasted by, but at least he's got Gritty backing him up. That's what it is.
Yeah, I was raised to hate the Flyers almost as much as you're supposed to hate the Habs, and Carter Hart's the one Habs, one Flyer I've ever really liked. Like Giroux was kind of there, but he was also I like Giroux now that he's not on the Flyers a little bit. I do like
I don't
Giroux,
like
but
him
when he was
results.
on the Flyers, I couldn't fucking stand him. It was he had the Bergeron's kind of skill set, like same game, but he was a little nastier, and that pissed me the fuck off. But he's good now. Good for him. Good for him. He's gonna lead Ottawa to Stanley Cup.
Like, speaking of the whole Atlantic, I mean, they're getting good. Even the bad teams like Montreal, I mean, they had a really good draft. And it's kind of scary because the Bruins are kind of just sticking around to what they have been. So, I mean, what do you guys think about the rest of the Atlantic? I'm terrified of what they can do.
Terrified. Oh my god, they're so good. I mean,
Look at Detroit. I mean, Stevie Y's plan is fantastic.
it's worrisome with how the Bruins are doing it and how the Bruins are treading water and keeping we can be good for one more year because there's gonna come a point where you can't float with these teams. And yeah, it was a few points off this year from that 3 spot. It could get better. It could get worse this year.
And I guess, do we expect any of the top teams in the Atlantic to really fall? I mean, I don't think Florida got a whole lot worse. Tampa got worse, but they're Tampa.
Hey, Florida lost
and
Nola Chari, okay? Big fucking loss for the Florida Panthers. That's goal Achari.
Who's
I can only
ironically
admit
was
when I've
St.
made a
Louis, the
mistake.
team that tripped him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Maybe
And the
he's
Leafs
just
got
going
worse
to.
goaltending.
I think Achari went to the Blues to troll him. He's going to trip someone in the playoffs, and one of his own teammates. I mean, and just be like, "Oh, Bruins have him undercover." They're like, "All right, we're going to meet the Blues in the Stanley Cup final this year, right? It's fixed. So you got to trip him."
I hope so.
But there'll still be no call.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Hopefully, it leads to a goal.
Well, that scenario is definitely happening, and that's my hot take of the summer. But before we close off, any of you have some scorching hot takes? Just I don't know. I think Columbus is going to win 2 Stanley Cups in a row now that they got Gaudreau. I don't know.
The Coyotes are gonna pack the playoffs house in a college arena and are going to go deep into the playoffs. And the NHL is going to mandate that they play the playoffs in Gila River Arena, and they're going to refuse, and they're going to say we can only play it at ASU, and we're going to paint our logo on the ice and spray paint, and that's what's going to happen.
I like it.
Goodness,
other-
I got nothing.
So this is tough because my first one's not a really hot take, but I think Kadri resigns in Colorado. I think they make room for him. My second hot take is that the Ottawa Senators will make the playoffs this upcoming year.
I like it.
Yeah, both.
And who knows if that means bad things for the Bruins, because I feel like it might.
Oh, it'd be a bad thing for the Bruins. Absolutely, freaking
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they can like move to the metro like halfway through the season. Yeah,
just so they can play John Henry's Penguins.
No, will be traded for the Penguins. The trade is 1-for-1.
So at least we
All
get
right, Drew,
we
you-
get Crosby.
Drew, you're
Go ahead.
going to want to save this one for later. Either I'm going to look extremely smart, or you're going to troll the hell out of me for this one. You ready for this?
All right, I'm ready.
The Leafs are going to win the cup. I can't believe I got deleted. Yep.
Oh,
I
no.
I see teams like working their way up, and they have to take those early losses. The Tampa took their loss to Columbus, and then they finally got over the top. Colorado took their losses, finally won the cup. I think Toronto's had their losses, and they have the team that's going to win the cup. So, like I said, a year from now, you can either roll this back and make fun of me, or I'm going to look pretty smart.
Right after Austin Matthews signs with the Columbus Blue Jackets.
And Matt Murray implodes. I'm looking forward to that.
All right, I lagged for a bit there. I think I'm back though. I heard everything Pat said. Everyone just like disappeared for a minute though on me. I couldn't see anything.
You
but
were just staring off into the distance.
Yeah. Wow, Pat. I was gonna have you back on the pod soon, but I don't know anymore. But that take actually reminds me of this old gem of a take here from Chris, allegedly.
I would give up Pasternak. I think that first line works without Pasternak, because I also don't love David Pasternak. I don't care about him all that much as a person.
I loved piecing that together. That was a lot of fun. It took me
you
like
mean? That
close
was
to
his
an
take.
hour to do that too.
Yeah, how long's that taking you?
That
That was
one
his real
consecutive
take. You could tell. It wasn't
Yeah,
spiced.
obviously it was one consecutive take.
So when's Pasta traded? No, I'm not putting that into existence.
Don't say it. Anything that can
Please,
happen
God,
will
no,
happen.
yeah.
Put that shit into the universe. It'll happen.
Sign that, man.
Please.
Sign him.
9.5. Let's go.
Just fill the roster with Czech guys. Keep them around. That's why they went and got Zaka. They're like, all right, Pasta, bro, we got someone you might know, and here you go.
Also, can we
It's poetry for
just
you.
real quick talk about how BS it is that the Bruins got removed from the Czech games? Like they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have two teams in Nashville and Boston that are that have very Czech rosters, and we're gonna play in the Czech Republic. And they're like, nope. Now the San Jose Sharks are gonna lose 14-0 to the Predators.
But yeah, I think that's a wrap. Unless there's anything else. If any of you have anything to shout out or anything like that, feel free to do so before we close out.
Drew, you did a hell of a job both hosting and being prepared for this.
Thank you. Yes, I have a Word document. I can read it to you right now. 1, Zaka. 2, Bergeron / Krejci. 3, ad read. 4, other free agent stuff. 5, close. That's
Good
my
job, Cam.
preparation.
I'm glad Cam was able to put that together for you.
I'm just he's like, here's my contribution. I know I haven't been on an episode in like 3 weeks, but here you go.
Hey, you read it word for word to perfection.
Yeah, thank you.
Did I cyberbully Cam off the pod?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he went down to Maryland for a bit. Now I think he's in New York, but yeah, he's just he hasn't come home since. It's weird. I don't know why it has to do with him living in his apartment or anything, but maybe that's when he heard your slander. That's where he was, and he needed to get out.
He's pulling a Tim Thomas hiding in a bunker somewhere.
All right. Well, thank you everybody, for listening. Thank you to all of you for showing up. I was all alone and was going to be very sad on my own. So thank you very much. Rob and Sean, we have to have you on for your own separate episodes sometime soon. Oliver and Pat, obviously, will have you back. But both times now, it's been on these open invites. So I think we got to set aside a full episode to have you guys on.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, whenever.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This has been the Brews Bruins podcast, the Hockey Podcast Network podcast presented by Bruins Diehards and Pride Diehards. And no, that's it. See, I think changes every 3 months, and I can't keep track. All right. Bye.